Okay, I'm very sorry that we've taken a little time to get going, but now we're here. We'll start this poster chat session. The first presenter is Scott Strayer from the USA, and he's got 2 minutes for the poster and 3 minutes for questions. Remember, all presenters. Not very good. Like a rock star, huh? Okay, this first presenter is Scott Strayer. 2 minutes plus 3 minutes for questions.
Okay, thank you. Let me just get this thing working here. So, I'm Scott Strayer from the University of South Carolina, and my study team actually did a meta-analysis last year and showed that flexible sigmoidoscopy is the only cancer screening test that actually decreases all-cause mortality. It's the only one in over 50 years of cancer screening tests that has shown that. We were pretty compelled by those findings. They were published in the Annals of Internal Medicine in 2017. So we did the current study that I'm presenting to you right now and did a meta-analysis of all of the flexible sigmoidoscopy trials as well as FOBT trials. We're looking at RCT data only. There's approximately 750,000 patients total in those trials. And what we found is, you can see here on our meta-analyses, for death, it's reduced by FlexSig, not by FOBT. For colorectal cancer incidence, it's reduced similarly for FlexSig, but not for FOBT. The only time we see a decrease in death for FOBT is when it's death attributed to colorectal cancer. You can see that here, although it's still a doubling of the reduction by FlexSig. What really prompted us to look further, though, was when you look at the forest plot shapes of the FlexSig, they're very similar across all three outcomes. So we looked at the regression and correlation. The correlation coefficient is excellent. It's for FlexSig, the correlation between colorectal cancer incidence and all-cause mortality is almost 1. It's 0.9 with a p-value of 0.013. So that led us to do the regression analysis that you see here. The dark blue spots here are the the FlexSig trials, and the FOBT are the lighter green that are kind of scattered around. You see this linear regression shows an almost perfect dose-response relationship. The lower the colorectal cancer incidence, the lower the all-cause mortality reduction. And so this has led us to conclude that it's most likely just reduction of cancer, prevention of cancer, that reduces all-cause mortality. It's not the early detection, which has a profound impact on our screening programs throughout the world. And I have 3 minutes for questions.
You have, yes. Questions from the audience?
Come on, we have a whole 3 minutes.
So we have a program of FlexSig screening in the UK. Can you comment on other countries where that approach is being adopted?
Yeah, my understanding before I wrote this abstract was that there's only a few EU countries that actually use FlexSig or colonoscopy for screening. Most of them are stool-based testing, which basically the stool-based testing, whether used in FIT or FOBT, is mainly just early diagnosis. That's where most of your attribution is coming from. In the US, we recommend, we do a lot more colonoscopy, relatively speaking, but we do still recommend stool-based testing. And we think that the implications of this trial are that stool-based testing should be seriously questioned as an effective screening mechanism for cancer.
Yes, please.
You might all switch over or change Mr. Cologuard, right?
Say again?
With the adoption of Cologuard, obviously all bets are off, right?
So the question is, will Cologuard change these outcomes? Well, Cologuard is still based on stool-based testing. So if the FIT is positive, obviously you go in and do a colonoscopy, and in a lot of cases, or I don't know what the percentage is, but there's a fair number of cases where there are negative colonoscopy, and you just go back to regular colonoscopy screening. So I'm not really sure what the effect of Cologuard is going to be on this, but what we're saying is that FlexSig, optical and polyp detection and removal is the optimal way to screen and prevent cancer, colorectal cancer.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's actually a useful moment to reflect that Wendy Atkin produced a definitive study that showed the benefits of flexible sigmoidoscopy screening. She died earlier this year.
Yeah, we would expect the effect to be equal or better with colonoscopy, obviously, but those trials are in progress.
Okay, let's move on. The next speaker